Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for starting your day the right way here in your nation's capital. Coming up at 8:05, Katie McFarland will give us her assessment of Trump's trip to the Middle East. And then at 8:35, Lisa Terry on National Police Week. It's Larry O'Connor with Mercedes Schlepp. Good morning, Mercedes.
It's a great Thursday. We're so close to Friday. I can't wait.
Taste it. Congressman Troy Nehls is a Republican from Texas. He's also served as a sheriff for the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Department there from 2013 to 2021 before he decided to downgrade and become a congressman. Representative Nehls, thanks for joining us, sir, and thanks for your service.
Thank you, Larry. Many people ask. I said, you're absolutely right. It is a downgrade coming up here. What was I thinking, right?
That's all right. We need good men in this.
Serving 800,000 people, and you had a lot of autonomy up here in Congress. You don't have much at all.
No, but listen, you're making a difference, and we need every single good vote right now because the margins are so narrow. Speaker of the House Johnson participated in this very stirring candlelight vigil for fallen police officers. These tributes for fallen officers that we commemorate this police week, these are incredibly important, and to see the speaker participate obviously sends a clear message that we stand with law enforcement and their families. As a former sheriff, can you sort of elaborate on that and expand how important it is that we take time to recognize what cops do for us every day in our community, especially considering your friends across the aisle who seem to want a full-on assault against cops whenever possible.
Yes, it's every week I look forward to this up in Washington, D.C., and there are thousands of law enforcement officers that will come to Washington, D.C. and spend some time at the memorial. Sadly, 148 officers lost their lives in the line of duty in 2024, so their names will be placed on our memorial here in Washington, D.C., and they'll never be forgotten. But it is encouraging to see so many men and women from different states in their uniforms, walking around, talking to members of Congress, advocating for things that are important to them. And I think it's very important for members of Congress to listen to their concerns. Obviously, we have too many officers that take their own lives, not only in law enforcement, but in the military as well. So we just need to be open and have an open and honest dialogue with these officers on the things that they are dealing with and support them, because there is so much, negative speech and talk and ridicule that we have seen with law enforcement for the past several years. And it's just not right. It's not fair. I mean, why would a young person want to get involved and choose that as a career anymore in law enforcement? Because of just the way people speak of them, and they don't get any respect anymore. They're not respected like they used to be.
Right. They've been demonized in the process. I think the Democrats have also gone too far on the defund the police movement, and they've walked it back. But then they're saying that it's been, there's too much investment going into our cops. What do you think are the main issues? I know you talked about, people who have the fallen officers, but what other issues are important to our law enforcement, and what can Congress do to help?
Well, I think it's really kind of down to the community level. Quite honestly, I think that's where they really need the support, whether it's in local municipalities or some of our large cities where you see a lot of the defund the police movements taking place, because those large cities across our country are run by far left liberal Democrats, and obviously they don't have law enforcement in their hearts. They really don't. I believe that any city like in Austin, Texas is a good example where you saw a significant decrease in funding for law enforcement. You want to talk about discouragement. I mean, these officers are waking up, whether it's day shift, evening shift, night shift, thinking, I'm going to go out now and serve my community, but I don't have the backing or the support of our elected leaders. And that can be very discouraging. So I think it really needs to start at the local level and get some of our our local politicians and others to show support, because when the local elected leaders do, I believe the community will get behind them. and you have to have that support. And this is a week now for people. You see a police officer, no matter where you are in this great country, go out there and just shake their hand. You don't have to buy them breakfast. You don't have to buy them a cup of coffee. They're not expecting that. But how about just a look in the eyes and shake their hand and say, thank you for your service?
We're speaking with Congressman Troy Nehls of Texas, a former sheriff himself, talking about Police Week here. And, you're right, local in our neighborhoods, that's where we really do make a difference in this country. But national leadership does matter. And after a lamentable display, sadly, it used to be something that every politician could agree on, that you can come together and say, yeah, we love our cops, we support our cops. But we saw such a full-on undermining of police officers with these cries of systemic racism, and that force was being used in a bigoted way to target individuals of color specifically, which goes against all of the statistics and the reality of what happens on the ground in our neighborhoods. National leadership is important, and I wonder, from your perspective, what can we be doing better? What could Congress do? Frankly, what can our listeners here in Washington do to honor cops and their sacrifices, not just this week, but all the time?
Well, I think, it shouldn't be like we have Memorial Day coming up at the end of the month, and there's one day we pay tribute to the men and women that have died in service to our country in the military. We have a Veterans Day. We have a law enforcement officer up here. We spend time all week, but it shouldn't just be 1 week out of the 52 weeks of the year. We should be honoring them and thanking them for their service each and every day when you see them. And I think sometimes, we do spend a lot of time this week honoring them, and I know they're very, very appreciative, but there's 51 other weeks, and I'm not saying we have to go out there and have ceremonies and celebrations, but when you see a law enforcement officer, no matter whether it's the month of June or the month of October, just shake their hand and thank them. Because
and maybe our national leaders could stop calling them racists and move to defund their efforts and demonize them as the problem.
I think what we're doing up here in the Judiciary Committee too is we're looking at those states and those cities, the sanctuary cities. We're looking at the large cities that defunded, and when they're asking for grant funds through the BIRD grant processes, they're not eligible.
Yeah.
They should not be eligible. You can't all of a sudden defund your police, but then ask for grants for certain things.
There you go.
I don't think that's right.
We'll keep our eye on that as well. Listen, thank you for joining us, Congressman Nehls. Appreciate it. I know you have a busy schedule this week, so appreciate you carving out some time for us as you work through reconciliation as well. By the way, everyone, you can go to WMAL.com. We've got a National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund right now where we're raising money, and you can donate now. Just go to WMAL.com. You'll see the link.